So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Barbara Stoddard. I use she, her pronouns, and I am an Associate Director of Admissions here in the Undergraduate Admissions Office at Penn. And I work especially in international admissions and do a lot of work related to global opportunities, global programs, and support for students who are coming to Penn from overseas or who are interested in pursuing opportunities that have a global flavor to them. So I am really excited to be part of this program today to help you learn a little bit more about the global opportunities that Penn offers. When I was in college, I studied abroad in Ecuador and twice in France. And after I graduated, I lived and worked in Kenya for 3 years. I was a teacher and college counselor there. So I can say from personal experience that I think going abroad is just such a wonderful opportunity to learn and to grow and to experience new things. So we're really excited to sort of highlight the many ways that Penn students can have those experiences abroad while they're here. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If you would like to use closed captions during this program, please click on the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And you're also welcome to submit questions in the Q&A box throughout this session for the next hour. We do have staff behind the scenes who can type answers to your questions throughout the program. And we'll also ask some of your questions to the student panelists live on screen in the second half of the program. I'll also say that if you'd like to learn more about Penn after today's session, the admissions office offers a wide range of virtual programs, including information sessions, virtual tours, and workshops. You can register for those by going to the Visit Penn page of our website. For the next hour, we're going to focus really on opportunities for students to go abroad. So if you have questions specifically about the application process or different components of the application, I would really encourage you to register for one of our virtual information sessions. And before we proceed to the main event, I would like to take a moment to give a land acknowledgement. In the admissions office, we like to begin all of our programs this way to honor the land on which Penn's campus is located. Penn occupies the traditional homelands of the Lanai Lenape. Penn acknowledges this fact and expresses gratitude to the indigenous people of this region, both past and present, for the opportunity to live and learn on Lenape Hoken, the land of the Lenape. Now, we're very fortunate today to be joined by Nigel Kosser, who is the Executive Director of Penn Abroad. He's going to provide an introduction to global programs at Penn, and then he will be moderating our student panel. A little bit later, we'll be joined by 3 wonderful globetrotting Penn students who are eager to share information about their experiences abroad. So, Nigel, if you want to come on screen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara. And it's great to see so many students from all around the world. I'm really interested in how Penn can provide a global experience as part of your education overall here.
Absolutely. And where are you from, Nigel?
So I'm originally from Australia, and I've called Philadelphia home for about 8 years now. And similar to you, Barbara, I've had the chance to study abroad, intern abroad, and live abroad in many different places throughout my life. And so it's just great to be at a place like Penn that really supports and endorses all these various experiences for students.
Wonderful. Yeah, and you have so much experience working with our students who go abroad to many different places and in many different capacities. So I'm curious to know, what do you think makes Penn's global programs unique?
I would say Penn has a long history of providing an array of global experiences for students. And as Penn really is very much a global university through our rich and diverse student body and our faculty and staff that really come from all parts of the world. Our global program offerings have been carefully developed to ensure that these experiences provide students with the opportunity to gain valuable real-world experience in and out of the classroom, and equipping students with career-focused skills on a global stage. Our programs are unique because they've been developed in close partnership with our schools across campus and other campus resources to ensure they meet the needs of our students and are an embedded part of the Penn experience.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I do think that our programs are really special. And it's wonderful that so many of our Penn students take advantage of them during their time on our campus. And some of them actually go abroad, as we know, more than once. So it's really great to see that students are doing that. I'm curious to know, how does Penn support students as they engage in these global experiences, as they're preparing, as they're actually abroad, and then once they come back?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great question, Barbara. Penn really supports students throughout the entire global experience. That really starts now, even for students who are thinking about coming to Penn. We really encourage students to spend time on our website to learn about the many different ways you can go abroad, and how that may fit into your degree, into your major, and to your ultimate career path. We support students, through the whole program and application stage, and we ensure that the programs that we manage have been carefully created and supported on the ground. So we ensure that they are safe and accessible to the entire Penn student community.
Yeah, absolutely. Important to make sure that all of those pieces are in place when we're sending students around the world. And you've had so much experience here over the last 8 years, meeting students as they prepare to go abroad and once they come back, and have so many stories to share. I'm curious to know, what do you think students really gain from their experiences abroad?
Yeah, look, I guess in short, so much. I think one of the best things about my job is that every year I get to meet students and hear about their experiences that they've had during their time at Penn abroad, and how that's helped shape their future choices around courses when they get back to Penn, possibly changes in their major, and really kind of helps them rethink possible career paths post their time at Penn. And so the impact is really multifaceted. The academic, cultural, and personal growth are kind of three key areas that we see coming through from student evaluations and student feedback from their experiences abroad. Being able to study a class on marine biology and have the Great Barrier Reef in Australia as your classroom is something you can't do at Penn, but you can do it at our partner down in Australia. So there's just so many of those opportunities that really exist. And we see the real impact that students gain from being able to participate in these experiences.
Yeah, it's great to hear that. I know that from my own personal experience, that international experiences can be truly life-changing. I know that when I went to Kenya, I had one idea in mind for my career path, and I came back with a different career path. So it is really neat how those experiences in a completely different setting can change your perspective on the world or your plans for the future. So I know that you have some more information to share with us about the different types of programs that Penn offers. So I'm going to sort of hand you the floor to talk a little bit more about that.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time just providing a bit more information on the various programs at Penn. And just to get it started, I wanted to set the scene a little bit more. We send more than 2,500 students every year on global programs. And I think that's an important number to share, because this number is growing year on year. We see every Penn school and many Penn centers providing different global experiences across the board for students to participate in. And so there should be no shortage of a variety of programs which could fit into your degree here at Penn. I would say in terms of, sorry, I'm going to progress my slide here. Penn Abroad is a central office, and we actually serve as a hub for global student opportunities, particularly for undergraduate students. So the 4 undergraduate schools here at Penn all provide their own very specific global experiences, and we all work together to provide overall a kind of overarching menu of choice for undergraduate students to consider as part of their time here at Penn. So probably our main and primary flagship program is the Semester Abroad or Study Abroad program. This is where students are able to spend an extended period of time, typically a semester, but it could be a full academic year, abroad at one of our more than 100 university partners and programs around the world. What's great about this is that students can earn or do earn Penn credit while you're abroad. And why that's important is that it ensures that you keep moving towards progress towards degree completion. So you can actually meet major and minor requirements, sector requirements, There's a lot of planning that goes on in the background to ensure that the academic credit that you receive whilst you're abroad is applied directly to your Penn degree upon return. The semester abroad experience also provides a lot of opportunities for enhancing language skills and cultural competence. So we have a lot of programs where you're able to immerse yourself and further explore and really extend your actual language abilities outside of English. Of course, we have many English options as well. So there's really a nice array of choice available for students. Because you are spending your time abroad in many of these experiences, they are a lot of these are direct enroll experiences. So you're really treated like a local student whilst you're abroad. So you have an opportunity to get involved and meet so many great people, and including making lifelong friends. I know when I studied abroad, actually in the US many years ago, I still have some amazing friends from that time, from all around the world. So it's a really impactful opportunity. I think another area that we hear back from students a lot, and we hear from employers as well, around this soft skill and soft skills, the ability to gain experience and exposure in this area, and how it translates to your actual career is something that that's also a really key highlight. And semester abroad, it's fully part of the financial aid package here at Penn. So we work very closely with the financial aid office to ensure that students are able to participate in these programs and to kind of repackage aid to ensure that the various costs associated with studying abroad for a semester are incorporated. Another program that's very popular with undergraduate students is our Global Research and Internship Program, or GRIP. And GRIP is a summer experience that students are able to undertake research or internship, more kind of typical internship experiences for 8 to 12 weeks over the summer break. This is really popular with students after their first year. So as students across all year levels are actually eligible to participate in GRIP. And we source and support many internship and research placements right around the world. These internship placements are often focused on particular industries. And we work with everything from for-profit to non-profit government agencies. There's a wide array of experiences that students are able to consider to participate in. Many of these are obviously in English, but we have some that are also in a local language as well. So based on your language background, you may be eligible for even additional internship placements. All of our placements do receive funding to offset the expenses, which would include things around flights, housing and meals and other incidental expenses to support your time whilst you're abroad. And the final program I wanted to highlight before we move to the student panel is our Penn Global Seminars, or PGS. And our PGS program is really special in that it deepens a student's understanding of concepts that are discussed in the classroom through complementary short-term travel. Essentially, it's like an intensive lab experience for students that complements the classroom experience. So these are regular fall or spring courses here at Penn, and they are taught during the regular semester, and then will travel during a break period at Penn. So that could be over winter break for a fall course, or over spring break, or in May for a spring course. And these will go to a location that will kind of allow students to do a deeper dive into the content of the classroom. So these course options are for students across all majors and class years. We have some courses that are focused for first year students, so the first year writing seminars. We have a number of those that run every year, right through to very specific courses. So next year we'll have around 18 of these that will be running. All courses have a flat program fee of $950, which is financial aid eligible. And that covers all of the major expenses, including airfare, lodging, many meals, and all the various costs associated with the academic component of that travel experience. These are really popular. You travel with a Penn faculty member, with someone from Penn Global as well to support the class, and you're traveling with your peers. It's just a wonderful way in which to really learn more about the content of the class that you're actually studying. So I want to transition now to our student panel, and I'd kindly ask our student panel to turn their video cameras on, and we have 3 students who've all participated in at least one, in some cases multiple, global experiences during their time here at Penn. And I'll get each of them to, I'll stop sharing my screen now, and I'll get each of them to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Belinda.
Hi, so lovely to meet everyone. So I'm Belinda Kumi. I'm a current sophomore at the Wharton School. And this past year, I had the opportunity to travel twice through Penn Abroad programs. So I was able to do a GRIP program last summer. So I was in Sydney, Australia, doing a marketing internship, even though that's not what I'm pursuing, but it was an amazing experience. And then I also did a PGS program, which was my writing seminar, which you're required to take while you're at Penn. So I was able to go abroad to India for a week. It was also 2 days before traveling to Australia. So that was a whirlwind.
Great, thanks so much, Belinda. Venetia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lanesia Scheider. I'm a senior in the College of Arts and Sciences studying psychology, and I'm from New Jersey. In the fall of 2021, I did a semester studying abroad at Queen Mary University of London, and I'm super excited to share my experience with you guys.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Lanesia. And Julian.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julian Zambrano. So I'm a senior at Wharton studying finance and statistics and minoring in math. So this past semester in fall 2022, I was able to study abroad for a semester in Barcelona.
Great, thank you so much, Julian. So I'll just get things started, and I'll start with Belinda. The question will be for all of you, though. How did your global experience connect with your academic and professional goals?
Yeah, so I forgot to mention, I'm also concentrating in management and OID now, which is like operations, information, and decision making. So I very much love like organization and, you know, managing people, things, anyways. So with my academic and personal goals, well, I'm a FIGLY student, which stands for first generation low income. So I come from a background where I've never really been able to pursue traveling, even though my family is Ghanaian as well. So I love my culture, and that like love for my own culture kind of fosters my like interest in seeing other people's culture, exploring other places. Like I want to see the rest of the world besides just in America, the US. So one of my personal goals coming to Penn was always to like travel through any means, like any means available, because I came in knowing that Penn has a lot of programs that will allow you to travel. Like they want you to explore the world, they want you to gain a lot of skills abroad. So yeah, those were one of my personal goals, like travel by any means. So I was able to do that twice in my freshman year, which is awesome. Like highly suggest to anyone. And I'll be traveling again by the end of this year through, it's not quite Penn Abroad, but it's through a specific Wharton program. So I'll be in Portugal in May. I'm excited, guys. But yeah, so that was my personal goal, just to explore while I can before I enter the workforce. As for my academic goals, again, I'm concentrating in management and OID. And I think it would really help my academic goals because I want to see how organizations are run across the world. That'll really teach you how like the best and most efficient ways to kind of instruct people or work, collaborate, various things like that. So it really gives you just a wider perspective than what we have here. You know, this environment is a lot like maybe hustle, hustle, hustle. And then some other parts of the world, it's not. So you can really kind of find the balance in that and what helps an organization run the best. So yeah.
Great, thank you, Belinda. Anisha, same question.
Yeah, so for me, coming into college, an important thing was like getting a liberal arts education where I could kind of take classes across various different fields and discover new interests. So while I can do that at Penn, having this global opportunity at Queen Mary kind of allowed me to continue to do so. So I was able to take a history class, a geography class, and a business class, and I enjoyed them so much. I learned so many cool things. And with my geography class, it was pretty cool because we kind of focused on England. So I was able to learn about the country that I was living in while like in a classroom setting, while also kind of seeing it like with my own eyes. I am also very interested in education. So I kind of really enjoyed learning about how different education looks based on where you are. So like learning about like seeing the differences in a college education in the US versus in London. I also enjoy just hearing about my peers' experiences in like secondary school or A levels compared to like my high school experiences. And yeah, I really enjoyed learning different things.
Fantastic, thank you. And Julian?
All right, yeah. So I guess for me, what was pretty much the most, or the reason I really wanted to go study abroad was to take a lot of these classes that I had in a foreign language and to just kind of be put in an environment where you're kind of forced to speak the language. So there's really like no easy way out versus like being in the US, you can just kind of speak English and not worry too much. So I wanted to kind of get that exposure to just improving my language skills, but then I also wanted to just gather a new perspective in terms of like international markets, management practices, things like that. So it was very valuable to like be working with students that that were from the region that I was going to, or that were from Spain and Barcelona, and to just kind of see how they viewed the world and how they viewed markets and different interactions and participants. So in that sense, it was very valuable to me.
Fantastic. Thank you all for those responses. I mean, it's great to hear about the various ways in which this has had an impact and the way in which you've been able to access these programs. I'm curious now, like what advice would you offer students who are interested in global opportunities at Penn? Belinda?
Yeah, honestly, I would say do your research, and so like figure out what you'd be interested in before you come to Penn. Like just know all you personally can about the program, and then when you know that, I would reach out to people. There's on the Penn Abroad website, there's a bunch of ambassadors who've gone to one of the many continents. So like there's a person for everything, and you'll learn hopefully when you're a future, or your kid, or you're a future student at Penn, like you should be able to talk with various people. Like once you find something you're interested in, find another person who's interested in that or already in that field or did that program, and talk with them. Send an email, have a coffee chat. It's not hard here. Everybody wants to help another, or just collaborate of some sort. So yeah, that's my advice. Like research, know the program, why you want it, and then reach out to anyone who's been a part of it or knows someone who's been a part of it.
Right, thank you. Good advice. Anisha?
Yeah, I think my biggest piece of advice would be to don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, like take risks, because that's where you'll grow and learn the most. And also to echo what Belinda said, like do your research, especially like once you already know which country you want to go to, kind of do your research on the schools in that area. Because for me, I kind of just picked the first school that I saw in London. Like I did no research on it at all. So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I had zero expectations. So I kind of just wish that I did a little bit of more research and kind of knew what the school offered. So I knew what to expect once I got there, and I knew like what opportunities to seek out like in that area.
Right, thank you. Julian?
All right, yeah. So I guess I have two pieces of advice. So I just want to echo what was previously said about stepping out of your comfort zone. I guess when I went, I had a lot of time to travel around Europe and even like Northern Africa a little bit as well. So and I went to go see and do a lot of different things that I didn't think I would, or I didn't see myself doing even when I was in the plane getting ready to go out there. So I think just stepping out of your comfort zone and going to and trying new different things, meeting new people, that's definitely something that you should always kind of keep in the back of your mind. And then also I think planning is a big thing as well, because if you want to do a language or a language immersion program, you do have to take certain courses before, and the semester before you have to take a language course as well. And I was trying to figure out at the time when I was thinking about doing it, there was issues with COVID, obviously. And also I had to plan when I was going to do my thesis, which is I have to be essentially in Penn for a back-to-back semester. So I had to figure out when I wanted to like do my thesis, when I was going to take these courses, and then when I was going to actually go abroad. So I essentially had to kind of plan this all out like over a year in advance. It might not be as complicated now, but I think definitely having like being able to plan things like that would be best. And another aside, also, if your academic schedule permits, I would highly recommend, and if you're considering going to Europe, I would highly recommend to pick a fall semester to go, because first, when you get there, the weather is super nice. It's a lot warmer than it would be if you started in the spring. There's also a lot of events that are going on in Europe around that, like September, like I guess August, September, October time. So like I was able to go to like certain events and things like in Ibiza and Oktoberfest, which were amazing. I really enjoyed them as well. And then also by the time you're done with your classes and everything like that, all the Christmas markets will be set up. So it's like a really nice time. You get to walk around the cities and see all the Christmas markets set up and not have to worry about school. So
That's great. No, thank you so much to all of you. And to echo Julian's first piece of advice, I think starting early, as I mentioned, we see students that have the best success for those that really start early in their planning. Some majors can be a little bit more tricky to identify places, because you might need to have certain courses that you need to study whilst you're abroad. So I think starting early as possible is really great advice. So thank you for that. So Belinda, what accomplishments or aspects of personal development are you most proud of from your time abroad? Like, why did you choose to take a Penn Global seminar to fulfill your writing seminar requirement, as an example?
Yeah, so that was actually due to chance from a friend. Like, that was before I knew about other programs, but the specific writing seminar one I didn't know about. So she was like, Belinda, why don't you apply with me? And I was like, oh, sure, like, why not? And thankfully we both got in the program. As for accomplishments, I don't know, I learned a lot about India. Like, the whole course, we did our papers. I don't like writing papers, but I knew we were traveling, so I was more motivated. But we learned a lot about India, and the different, amazing things about India, as well as like the different issues they're working on. And then we were able to travel there and see it for ourselves. Like, it was so amazing to be immersed in the culture and the like bustling environment. Like, it was just like, it's one thing to read about a place and a different thing to see it. And you really felt that while being there. So it was just, I don't know, it was just new perspectives for me, for sure, having not traveled before. So it was like, there really is a world out here, like way past the US and our daily like bubble. There's just a world out there that there's so much to explore, so much to see, so many people to meet. So as far as accomplishments, I'm just so proud to now have that perspective and insights to carry with me. And Australia was a different story as well. I learned a lot about living on my own in another country. Even like, that really taught me more about myself, and more that I don't know how to budget. It took some work. I ate out more than I should, so that was a humbling experience. But you really truly just learn a lot about yourself. I even journaled every day, and it was just different. Like, I learned coming to college is also kind of similar to the experience, but like, I remember being there and being with a group in Australia for the GRIP program, being with 11 other students, and I'm like, I don't know these people. Like, how do I get close? Like, how do you get past that barrier? I don't know. I just learned it takes time. Like, put yourself out there, like Lanesia said, like, take risks. So just contact someone, take someone with you to explore the city. You're living on alone. If you're living alone, you have to develop your routine, kind of abide by that routine, just like foster relationships yourself. So those were my accomplishments, like growing as a person, really.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that. And there's great food in Australia, so I can understand why you were eating out every day. Great. So Lanesia, your semester abroad in London was your first experience outside the US. So why do you think global experiences are important to a Penn education?
Yeah, so coming into college, I honestly had no plans on going abroad, but I'm so glad that I did. I was trying to think back to like what made me apply. I think one day I was just like, why not? Like, let's try something new. So I remember like sophomore year sitting in my room, just clicking through the Abroad website, and I was like, oh, I'll try it. I'll try something new. And it has by far been one of my favorite experiences here at Penn. So I think like global experiences are important because it's such a meaningful, it's so meaningful to have the opportunity to meet new people from all across the world, like hear about their stories, learn about their cultures. It's such a valuable experience that allows you to kind of gain new perspectives, which I think is important for growth and learning. The school that I went to, Queen Mary, I think it had about a 47% international like student population. So I was literally meeting people every single day from countries that I've never even heard of. So it was such a valuable experience. Also, I think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, like being able to go to another country and know that you have the safety net and support system of the advisors, your peers, and just the abroad offices at both schools. So I definitely would take advantage of all the different global opportunities that Penn offers.
Right. No, thank you for that. And Julian, I know you've already touched on this a little bit about your language experience, but how did your language skills grow when you were in Spain as a result of your time abroad? Were there any key moments or funny experiences in the process?
Yeah, so I guess I can kind of start with this. So I'm Cuban, but growing up, we didn't really speak like Spanish as like a primary language. So I was really only fluent in like Spanglish. So one of the reasons why I really wanted to like go to Spain and take classes all in Spanish was to kind of like be forced to speak it. So I can't really like, replace words I don't know with English words and just kind of call it a day. So I guess that was like, so that was my motivation. And then also the program I was in was, the school's name was ISADE, which is the business school. So I did it through like a Wharton exchange. So I was getting Wharton credits for that. And the class structure was a lot different than what I was kind of used to or kind of what I was really expecting. But it actually worked out better for me, I think, because for a lot of the classes, you had to kind of get up there and present. There was a few classes where you literally had to come up with a project and you'd have to give like 2 30-minute long presentations. So, when you're up there talking for 30 minutes, you kind of have to get good at speaking. So I think that was definitely helped me a lot just to kind of get comfortable speaking in front of people and also speaking for just like an extended period of time as well. And in terms of like some key moments or funny experiences, I think I really enjoyed, I was taking a finance class and we had to give presentations and stuff like that. But the professor really admired that a lot of students from ISADE were from various backgrounds. So you had people from the United States, even from England, and as well as from other Latin American countries. So when we got to the unit of talking about different tax systems and things like that, he wanted a lot of the students who weren't from Spain to get up there and present and talk about the tax system in their respective countries. So I thought it was a little bit funny when I was able to get up there and kind of play the like American caricature of not liking to pay taxes and things like that. But while still giving a good informative presentation in terms of how taxes in the US work. And yeah, so I think that was kind of like a little bit of a funny thing. And the professor he really appreciated the presentation, but also, just being able to kind of connect with students like that and make them laugh across an international boundary was very valuable as well.
Great, thank you for that. Well, I know we've got some questions coming in from the Q&A, so I'm going to ask our student panelists for some responses to these questions. The first one is, did you feel any differences between the schools where you studied abroad and the community at Penn? So this might be more relevant for Julian and for Lanesha. Do you want to go first, Lanesha?
Yeah, so sorry, just rereading the question. I think for me, I noticed that the school that I was at kind of wasn't as stressful, I would say, as it is at Penn. It was very like, not easy breezy, but like very light on work. I feel like they focused more on, I guess, like sense of community or as opposed to like, and like doing things with your peers as opposed to like study, you know what I mean? And also in terms of like workload, we only had, I think, 2 exams, and those were like towards the end, and we didn't have much work throughout the semester. So it was kind of nice, just like a nice little break. I got to spend more time in the city, as opposed to like in the library, which I appreciated.
Great, thank you for that. And Julian?
All right, yeah, so I could also just kind of expand a little bit on that. So I think what I noticed, this might be specific towards business schools, but it also might be in general, that when you do study abroad, when you study abroad, you're really only taking like elective classes. And in Europe, for example, or in the school that I was in, and also it was kind of echoed by some other international students from Europe as well in there. But when you pick a major, you kind of have a very like rigid course path versus like at Penn, for example, I think, or especially Wharton, when you pick a concentration, a lot of your essentially your major is kind of like elective classes. So elective classes are a lot differently structured in Penn versus abroad versus like, so if I went to studying finance here, I would pick 4 different finance classes that I wanted to take at Wharton versus if I were to be studying finance abroad in Europe, I would have already all the set finance courses that I would need to take. And then the elective courses are kind of there to complement your education and kind of delve into some other topics and look at things from a different perspective or a different angle. So from that regard, the elective courses weren't as like study and like exam intensive, and they were mainly based in critical thinking presentations, things like that. So the workload wasn't like I was studying every week for exams and things like that, or cramming for for midterms or exams and things like that. So I did have a lot more time to kind of just enjoy the experience in general and immerse myself there. So I think that's kind of, I think one of the key differences between, I guess, this is the way that the academics are structured here versus abroad.
Great, thank you for that. So Belinda, we have another question. Was it hard for you when you initially moved out to a completely new place with a whole different language and culture, whether that was in India or in Australia, around the culture piece?
I can kind of speak on both. Real quick about India. That wasn't, I think I was just so full of excitement. Like I never saw anything hard about that experience. Like even if someone started talking to me in a different language I didn't understand, I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't speak that, but like thank you for asking me whatever you're asking. Like so it was, and we did have a professor who did speak the language and 2 people in our class, so the barriers weren't too much there. But I would just say, if you're ever feeling a certain type of way, remind yourself to be open-minded and just like tell yourself it's like a learning experience. So even if someone's speaking a different language than you, like somehow you're learning from that. But that's towards India. As for Australia and moving out there, so that was very interesting. It wasn't, I don't think it totally stressed me out or anything. Like it was just a different experience altogether, just fully taking a flight that was like 20 something hours. Although some of you guys are used to that as international students, I'm not. So it was like 20 something hours down to Australia. We all lived in a high-rise building together. So it was nice that we did live together. That was comforting to know like the person next door was a student from Penn with you. I think it was hard for me to just figure out a routine and like figure out what to do. Like you're totally on your own. You have an internship, so you know where you're supposed to go every day, but when you're not there, everything else is up to you. And you're even living with other people, so you have to figure out like, do you guys want to make dinner one day? Are you eating out? Are you eating together? So kind of getting people on the same schedule. But again, I was very open-minded during the whole process. So like I would try not to let anything frustrate me. I would think of it as a learning experience, which is kind of what I'd suggest for other people to do the same. So if you're ever struggling, again, I would talk to someone who maybe's done the program before. I would talk to one of the people at Penn for, if you're, while you're abroad, like call someone at Penn and ask for advice within the Penn Abroad department. As well as like be patient. Like it was definitely a learning experience. I think I found it difficult not traveling with a friend. Like it was just all new people. So it's like sometimes the first weeks, like I wanted to text someone, but I was like, I don't know how, like, is that like awkward? Like, but no, take those feelings away, just text someone, and that's how you build a relationship, by actually sending that text. So just be patient in the process, I would also express as well. But overall, open mind and you'll have a great adventure in another country.
That's very good advice. Thank you for that, Belinda. Next question from the Q&A is, I'll kind of ask Lanesha this first and follow up with Julian. When you went abroad, did you study subjects or courses similar to the ones you'd been exploring at Penn? And was there a difference in teaching style and overall experience? Lanesha, I know you touched on this to do with the kind of exam, but if you want to further discuss.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned this before, I took a history class, a geography class, a business class, and then a psych class to fulfill like one of my major requirements. I think the first 3 classes that I mentioned are different from the classes that I typically take at Penn. I primarily like am interested in like urban education, urban studies, and psychology. So I kind of keep my class, like I take classes primarily in that realm. So I think those are definitely like out of my comfort zone and not similar to what I had taken at Penn. And then in terms of teaching styles, I think they were, in terms of like how the material was delivered for my lecture classes, it was pretty similar, like a PowerPoint, large lecture hall. And then for my 2 seminar classes, we kind of like sit at like a round table and discuss different topics, kind of like present different like areas of interest. And yeah, that was also kind of similar to the small seminar classes that I've had in like urban education here at Penn. So that aspect of it was similar. And then, as I mentioned before, like the exam aspect and the workload was definitely much different.
Great, thank you. Julian, how about you in Spain? Was there a lot of differences?
Yeah, so I guess I did take some different classes, I would say. I think like my major was, I guess, more focused on technical stuff, but then when I went abroad, I took more like management. I took 2 management classes. I took negotiation, and then I also had, there was a little fun class that I took that touched upon different Spanish language movies, and also from movies specifically from the Catalonian region, which is like the northern part of Spain, like that includes Barcelona. So I did kind of get to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and take classes that weren't necessarily going to contribute to my major as directly, but I think kind of as I said before, my main goal was to really just be exposed to different perspectives. So, and to kind of add that as a complement to what I've already studied at Penn.
Right. Thank you. This next question, though, is a common one that we hear from students a lot. So I'd really appreciate panelists' response. How is your transition coming back to campus after your global experience? How do you feel Penn supported you in adjusting back and not missing anything? Belinda, do you want to start with you?
Yeah, so I think Lanesia and Julian can speak better to that, since mine was at the end of May. So it's like, or let's see, end of May and then to the end of July. So like I had my summer break in between before coming back to Penn. But I think it made me more excited to come back to Penn. Honestly, it was like, oh, I've met all these people through doing these classes. I've lived with them for a good amount of time. Like, I'm so excited to see them when I go back. And you'll realize, like, once you meet one person, you're like connected to different organizations or other people. So it's like, even my social circle was expanded. So it made me excited to come back to Penn.
That's great. So thank you, Lanesia.
Yeah, I'd say the transition coming back to Penn was very smooth. I think I was a little nervous about it. Like, I didn't know how it would be, like if I'd have difficulties like adjusting back to like Penn culture, but it was very, very easy. I really enjoyed kind of like this running into people who I hadn't seen in a while and just like telling them about my experiences. And in terms of like the support, I like having access to the abroad office. Like, there's so many different events that take place there, and having the opportunity to meet with other students who studied abroad in like other areas and share our experiences and kind of like provide any advice that we had for each other. It was very, very helpful. And like to this day, like we had an event, it might have been like in November, maybe I met another senior who I'd never met previously. And we kind of just like talked about our abroad experiences and kind of just like reminisced. And I love that. It's always a great time when we have like abroad events.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Lanesia. And Julian.
All right, yeah, so I guess the transition back was pretty seamless, I would say. I think I had the academic schedule that I had, I was pretty much done the first week of December, and I was able to travel around a little bit and then come back. So I had a little bit of time, I think a little bit longer than what the typical fall or winter break is, to kind of get reacclimated back into time zones and kind of get things organized for my last semester at Penn. So I think that was just the timing of everything also helped a little bit. And then coming back to actually like taking classes and being reintegrated back into the community, it was all pretty seamless, and there's a lot of great resources, events, and things like that for you to reconnect with students. So yeah.
Right. No, thank you. I guess a related question is on the more on the front end of things, and how you felt prepared before going. So did you feel prepared about culture, customs, language through the kind of pre-study abroad, in-class instruction, or kind of support through pre-departure prior to you heading off on your global experiences? Is the first part of the question. So Belinda, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I would say for my global seminar course I took, the one for India, I would definitely say I felt prepared, considering I had the whole semester to kind of, learn about India and the customs, various things like that. Before we went, we learned like you have to dress a certain way, so we brought particular clothing. So I would say like the transition and getting ready for that wasn't too difficult. Like, I felt prepared to be there. As for Australia, that was a little bit of a different ballpark, but again, it's Australia, so it wasn't too too scary to think of or anything. So before that, we had our orientation of like learning you'll be in a different environment. But when we got there, they had a whole presentation on like the life experience in Australia, how it's a more relaxed environment. They told us like, oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to share this, but they had like a slide on like people do cuss a lot in the workplace, so don't be like scared by that. I thought that was funny that they had to present that to us, but they did tell us things like that. And again, I'm always like a fan of doing your own research. Like, I'm just that type of person who would like to know before just jumping in. So I would definitely suggest that if you ever feel slightly underprepared. But overall, I think you'll be fine. Like, I think there are many ways to prepare beforehand.
Fantastic. Thank you. Vanesha.
Yeah, I agree. I felt completely prepared to study abroad in London. Prior to going abroad, the abroad office hosted like 1 or 2 different like webinars informing us of like the norms and like the culture in that area, which I think was really helpful. Also, like I think it might have been like the day before I left, I watched multiple different YouTube videos on like things to expect in London, which was really helpful. So yeah, I wouldn't be nervous at all about like not being prepared. Like Penn will make sure to prepare you in what you're getting yourself into.
Right, thank you. Anything further to add, Julian?
All right, yeah. So I guess I'll start with, I had touched a little bit on this before during my advice, saying that when you had to take certain classes if you want to do a language immersion program abroad. So I think generally that requirement is that you have to either take a history class in that language that covers a broad range of subjects or topics in history, or some sort of literary analysis in that language, like before you go abroad, and then also, so it's one of those 2 courses. And I had taken the one that was about history in Spanish, or the Spanish language course in history, and it touched upon various different. So we touched upon Spain, Latin America, things like that. I guess. So that kind of really helped give a lot of context. I think for me personally, I think I kind of underestimated a lot of different things that were kind of covered, especially in Barcelona. I really underestimated how much people actually speak Catalan versus Spanish. So that was like, for me, that was kind of like a little bit different. And then all the signs aren't in Spanish, or it'll be like Catalan, English, and then Spanish at the bottom, usually. So that to me was like a little bit shocking when I got there. I thought like everyone was going to speak like pretty much like 99% Spanish. And also I learned at the time too that there's a very strong Catalonian independence movement like in Barcelona, in that region too. They have the time I was there is when they have the yearly protest that kind of where they're calling for Catalan to be independent from Spain. So there's, I guess, little things like that I was definitely a little bit, that I kind of underestimated. It's something that you hear and you're like, oh, well, you don't really have the full picture, the full context, unless you're actually there. So.
Right, thank you. So this is a great question for all the panelists. Do you still maintain relationships with instructors, students, potentially your employer, or kind of colleagues from the internship, from all those people that you met while you were abroad? Belinda?
Absolutely. I would say more so I would say it's stronger with the people I was in Australia with, just because I lived with them for 2 months. But even the people I traveled to India with, again, we took the class together the whole semester. So it was academic in that sense. We really did grow closer while being abroad together. So like you'll realize, like you'll see once you take something or join a club, like you see these people everywhere. So it really truly feels like I always find these people at least once a day. So you're happy when you see them, you say hi, like it's like a quick chat or catch up, and you're like, oh, we'll talk later. As for people in Australia, like talking with them, I kind of even joined some different organizations that they were a part of, because they're like, oh, you have to join this, oh Belinda, like come do this. So it's like really like I'm in things with them now, and you see these people everywhere, you say hi, like there's so much love I have for them. So that's amazing. That's another reason I would suggest doing these programs, because you develop all these new relationships you wouldn't have had otherwise.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Belinda. Vanesha?
Yeah, I still remain in contact with the students that I met when I was in London. So my flatmates and I, we have this like Snapchat group chat where we send like updates on our lives and send like random silly pictures. Most of my flatmates have not been to America. So I often like send just random things that I think they'd find interesting, or like if I go to a new place, I'll send them a video or a picture explaining different things, and they're always so excited. I remember like when I went to New York, this summer I lived in New York, and I would send them videos and like little vlogs of me in New York, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So that's a way that we remain in contact with each other. Also, kind of going off of what Belinda said, when I went abroad, I didn't know anyone else who was also studying abroad. But like as a result of that experience, one of my best friends I met through like being abroad. She was a year older, so she graduated last year, but we talked like every single day, and I love her, and I'm so grateful to have had this experience to meet her.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you,
I
Lanisha.
forgot to mention, so I'm sorry to interrupt. We did have like, for my Australia program, we did have like a dinner last semester that was really fun. We even went to like a Greek place because, you know, we love our cultural foods. And then hopefully we'll have one this semester. But yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Belinda. Julian.
All right, yeah, definitely. I think for me personally, like I didn't really know anybody else that was going to be in Barcelona, or specifically even in my school. But I think the school I went was also very like a very international school, so they did have like a lot of resources for you to connect with all the students that were studying abroad, and also some like the regular student body. So kind of through those events, I was able to meet people, and it's kind of like starting from your first semester in college all over again, where you kind of like put into a new environment, and then you just kind of meet people, and then everything goes from there. So I was able to kind of get a good group of friends, and we were traveling around Spain and also Europe a lot together, and just sharing these experiences. And I think when you have those sorts of interactions with people where you're like traveling together, living together, or doing all these different things together, you kind of inherently just create a stronger bond, like everyone has said. So we've always been keeping in contact, like we have group chats and stuff like that, where we still kind of talk to each other a little bit. And then in terms of, I guess, like instructors, I did try to connect with a lot of the instructors on LinkedIn, or you'd also do have their contact information as well. And there's also some professors that really every year they see a lot of international students coming in, and then they always encourage them to always like stay in contact. So yeah.
That's great, thank you. Well, we have time for one final question. This will be to all the panelists. What's your favorite memory from your time abroad? I'm sure you've got many, but if you can think of one particular memory that really kind of stands out, Belinda.
I'll quickly touch on both trips, but from India, I would say one of the students, she was actually the person who told me to apply to the program. So it was her birthday. And she couldn't eat cake. Like, she had a lot of dietary restrictions. It wasn't the best in India, but besides that. So for her birthday, that was the one night we like all came together and we ate mangoes for her birthday. Like, we were in a tiny hotel room, all crammed together, singing happy birthday, eating mangoes. So that was just like a blast. And it was like, wow, we're really in India doing this. Like, it was a crazy, surreal experience. And then for Australia, I would say, I think again, it was people's birthdays bring you together. Like, it was someone's birthday weekend. And so we all went to the beach together. And of course, it's easy to travel anywhere in Australia. So we all just took a train. We bought cake, surprised my friend, and we were just on the beach, like eating food, having a blast. It was awesome weather. Like, it was just these little moments I find so happy and so fun.
Sounds very fun. Thanks, Belinda. Lanisha.
Yeah, so I think my favorite memory is from like my third day being abroad. Like I said, most of the Penn students who were at Queen Mary at the time were seniors. So I originally didn't know anyone when I got there. But on our third day, when everyone from Penn finally arrived, we decided to do some exploring together. So we first figured out how to use the tube, which is like their subway. I was a little nervous about that because I am not the best with public transportation, but it was really fun and like nice knowing that like we're all doing this together, we're figuring it out together. We like walked around the city, we went to the British Museum, which I loved. And then we had dinner together at the end of the night. And it was just such a great way to kind of kick off the start of the semester. And I just remember being so excited and like thinking like, wow, like I get to live here for 4 months. So whenever I think about my time abroad, this is the first thing that comes to my mind because I was just like so thrilled and pumped to be in London.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Lanisha. And Julian.
All right, yeah. So I guess there's a lot of memories to kind of choose from. So it's a little bit difficult to pick one, but I think one that kind of comes to mind immediately is when I guess if I do a little time, I could give some context. So there is like this program in Europe that facilitates study abroad between Europe students called Erasmus. And then also each city has its own Erasmus that organizes events for international students and things like that. And one of the Erasmus events was a trip to Ibiza, which is an island in Spain. And so when we went with my group of friends together, one of the events that they were hosting was like, they provided free ferries to another little island off the coast of Ibiza that had one of the best beaches in the world. And by the time we went there, we went a little bit later in the day. So we kind of got to see the sunset of like over that beach, and it was just like really beautiful. I don't know if I do have the picture here. I don't know if I have enough time to share screen, but I could probably just show that. So I think it's just kind of seeing that view, and we were like the only ones still on the beach at that time. So I think, so that one was, yeah, if you guys can see that, it was like really great. I'm not the best at taking pictures, but
Looks pretty good to me, Julian.
yeah, like it was just amazing. I don't think the picture even captures really how great that experience was.
That sounds amazing.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Well, thanks everyone. I know we're almost at time, and I'll welcome back Barbara now.
Thank you, Nigel, and thank you so much to Belinda and Lanisha and Julian. It was so fun to hear about your experiences abroad. It's definitely giving me that wanderlust itch to go hop a plane and head abroad again. It's really great to hear about all of the wonderful things that you did with your time overseas. And thank you so much, Nigel, for moderating the panel and for sharing so much information about the different programs that Penn students can pursue during their time here in order to go abroad. So we've come to the end of our hour. Thank you all so much for joining us, for tuning in from all over the world to learn more about global opportunities at Penn. Although this is the end of our session, there are many opportunities for you to learn more about Penn in the future if you'd like, or to connect with our students and our staff. So to sign up for future events, I would encourage you to go to the Visit Penn section of our Penn Admissions website. You can also find content on our Penn Admissions YouTube channel, which includes recorded virtual programs like this one, and student stories and application advice videos. And if you'd like to learn more about Penn's opportunities around the world, please do check out the Penn Abroad website. And you can find both the admissions office and Penn Abroad on social media. So thank you once again for joining us. I hope that global adventures are in the future for all of you. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.